guys, and welcome to the 5th episode of Versus. I am Midnight Strike 3625, and today we're going to take a look at 4 bands that fundamentally significantly impacted the thrash metal genre as we know it today. So, to get started, these 4 bands are known as the Big Four, and they're legends in their own right. Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer. So these 4 bands all formed in 1981, save Megadeth, and we all know the story of how Dave Mustaine was kicked out of Metallica for basically being drunk and trying to start fights all the time. So, all these bands are known, and their 80s works are known as thrash metal masterpieces for the most part, and really most of the 4 bands, actually all of them, sort of slowed down in the mid-90s to a more melodic approach. Less emphasis on speed, less emphasis on technicality, and just started playing either straight up metal, hard rock, or whatever the fuck you can call Anthrax's releases during the 90s. Aside from Sound of White Noise, I know that's grunge, but like Stomp 44 and Stomp 442, whatever it is, and Volume 8, The Threat Is Real. Those 2 albums can kind of just not exist. I don't really like them that much personally, but a lot of people do, so good kudos for them, whatever. Getting into it anyways, Slayer released Rain and Blood, one of my all-time favorite records, just top-notch Slayer. And World Painted Blood in 2009 is very similar to it, and I really like that album too. I'm not really so much into Slayer as much as I should be probably, but it's not really a band. Like, I've heard a lot of their stuff. I've heard stuff off Show No Mercy, I've heard stuff off South of Heaven, I've heard stuff off Rain and Blood, I have the entire album, and as well as World Painted Blood, I have that album as well. But as for their back catalog, their entire discography, like for the other 3 bands, I just haven't gotten into them as much for some reason, so go figure. But Metallica's Master of Puppets, probably my favorite album of all time, and next to AC/DC's Powerage. And these guys really knew how to kick it back in the day. These guys really knew how to punch out the verses, punch out the vocals, just amazing lyrics, amazing riff structure, awesome solos, just the perfect timing for everything on that album. Cannot praise it enough. So, just as Anthrax released Among the Living, and Megadeth released Peace Sells and Rust in Peace. So, basically, Megadeth has 2 masterpieces. So, all in all, I would probably say, if we were counting back in the 80s, I'd probably have to pick Metallica over all of them. But, Metallica is a band that pretty much everyone these days loves to hate, because really they've kind of gone back and forth. They released Saint Anger, they redeemed themselves with Death Magnetic, they released Lulu with Lou Reed. I know it's not really a Metallica album, but the fact remains that it still had Metallica in it. So people are gonna make the comparisons. So people are gonna drag the band down. But it's like they're kind of wavering, and a lot of people love to hate on that. And even in this DVD, I don't know if I showed it before, but live in Sofia, Bulgaria. If you look at this, Metallica are kind of the epitome of being overrated. Look at this. Okay, Anthrax, 10 songs. Megadeth has 12 songs, along with Slayer's 12 songs. So you'd think, Metallica would have 12 songs, right? Or even like 10 songs, 13 songs would be even fine. But they have a whole fucking disc to themselves. I mean, they have 19 songs on here. They have a whole disc. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean, I know Metallica are good, but they're not that good, in my opinion. They were amazing, and absolutely ungodly amazing. They were legends back in the 80s, and even in the early 90s with the Black Album, but nowadays, they're trying really hard to make a Master of Puppets or even an Injustice for All Part 2, but that's not going to happen. No matter how hard they try, they're not going to reach that level of skill, that level of just legendary godliness. I don't know how to really describe it, but they're not going to be who they were back then. So, it's best to move forward, I guess, for them, and look forward to different music. But basically they were amazing back in the 80s. I loved their stuff back in the 80s. So, but nowadays, if you ask me to pick a band like in their current incarnation, I would probably have to go with Anthrax. Anthrax is really top notch these days with their, especially coming off of a masterpiece like Worship Music. So Worship Music, amazing album. But in the 90s, though, Megadeth has it made, practically, with Euthanasia. Euthanasia is one of my favorites. It's probably their heaviest album. Not their fastest, but their heaviest, with the emphasis placed on production, the bass, the guitars. Everything is just awesome on that album. So, 80s, Metallica. 90s would be Megadeth. And nowadays would probably be Anthrax. And overall, Slayer, like I said, I've never really gotten into them much, but I think they're pretty good in their own right, and I respect what they did for the genre. So, Tom Araya, awesome singer. He can sing really fast. I really admire that. So, maybe I'll get into him a little bit more later, but I'm not sure. So, basically, I want to know what you guys think. What band out of the big four do you prefer over the others? You know, Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, or Slayer. So, you know, subscribe, comment below. And this next week on Versus, I'm actually going to do something just like I did for the previous week before this video. I'm going to let the fans decide. So, if you want to have a little bit of impact, a little bit of voice, you know, click the link below to my Facebook page. There should be a little bit of a poll on what you think the next Versus video should be about. And I'm going to do this for every other week for the Versus videos. So, I'm going to decide one week, and then I'm going to let the fans decide every other week. If it's something that I've never heard of before, I'll just simply tell you, and maybe I'll just, you know, lock the polls to just answers that I put on there, but, you know, sometimes that's really no fun. So, Resident Evil and Silent Hill for the last one just kind of came out of nowhere, so I didn't really have much time to prepare. But I think it turned out good. I think the final product turned out good. So, what do you guys think? Big Four, which one's better? Like I said, I have different opinions on it, so on, you know, which era of the Big Four is better, because I really can't choose a single band to be the best of the Big Four. So just let me know what you guys think. Thanks. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.